there was a study done 11 years ago at Northwestern University, that's in the US for my international listeners, that came up with a term called enclothed cognition. I'm not sure if I can say that clearly enough or not. Enclothed cognition. And what this means is when we put clothes on our body, it also infiltrates our brain. So the clothes we put on our body put us in a different psychological state depending on those clothes. This is what these researchers found, and you could definitely Google and find out more. So clothes have a symbolic meaning, even down to the item of clothing, and that influences our mental state. And let me tell you how this came about, because I thought it was really interesting. So when they were doing some scientific study of this idea of enclosed cognition, they started with an experiment with lab coats. So the white doctor lab coat that you imagine from TV or movie, or maybe you wear one in your job. So they were doing a study to figure out, do we think with our bodies and our brains? And is how we feel based on physical experiences, including the experience of wearing clothes. So we're trying to figure this out. And the people participating in the experiment either wore a lab coat or they wore their street clothes, their regular clothes. And then the people doing the study tested their attentiveness. And interestingly enough, the people who were wearing the lab coat had heightened alertness and awareness more than those who were not wearing a lab coat every single time. Just emphasizing that because I thought that was pretty amazing. So the act of wearing this white lab coat that we have, I suppose, been conditioned by, like we said, movies, TV, seeing doctors in doctors' offices, seeing professionals in a lab. The act of wearing that white lab coat created associations for people. It became a symbol of intelligence, of focus, of paying attention, of being able to do whatever they needed to do. And the same thing, they said, can happen when we see people in uniforms or in suits. So the apparel that people are wearing tells us what position they have. And we believe that it also tells us their skills and their abilities. Now, obviously, every single person wearing the same uniform doesn't have the same skills and abilities and interest and intelligence. We know that. But our brains have a way of looking at different outfits where we decide this is what we know and this is what we expect about this person. And it can be related to us as well. And that's the interesting part. Obviously, around in your life, you see someone in a uniform or a lab coat or a suit, you're maybe not even realizing that you're thinking a certain thing about them. But I really want you to understand that it's about ourselves too. So the people in this study put on a lab coat and they scored higher on the assessments. So there was a correlation between whatever the style was, however they were looking on the outside with their clothing, and their mood and the way they were thinking and what they were doing and how they were paying attention. So science backs up that what we wear can affect how we feel. I just find that fascinating. I'm going to give you a little bit more because there was some research done in 2015 also about how clothing affects our thoughts. This was at Columbia and at Cal State Northridge. And these, I think you will expect me to say. So we'll see if you can predict what I'm about to say. So here's what they found. They found that being well-dressed conveys authority. We think we have it when we're well-dressed, and we think other people have it when they're well-dressed. And it helps with a first impression. It gives us a visual impression of people Okay, expected that. This is why when we have students or when we have kids or mentees who are graduating from college, we want them to get a suit, right? We want them to get interview clothes. That's the first impression. It also helps us radiate self-respect and self-worth, the way we dress. And interestingly, let's go a little bit farther on that. They also found that our own self-perception, so how we think of and perceive ourselves, affects how others perceive us. And again, I don't think that's a surprise, but it rolls right back to whatever we're thinking and feeling about ourselves is not just a thing where I'm sitting around thinking about myself. It is going to affect how I go out into the world and relate to everybody else and how they see me and all of that interaction. And every way that we communicate with people has to do with energy. So the energy we are giving off when we are dressed differently is different. Pretty fascinating. They also said it grows our confidence and we maybe are inspired to do more. And we're going to circle back to that one for sure. We're also tend to be more productive when we're dressed well. We tend to be lazier in comfy clothes. Now, as I say that, I know there are probably people listening who are thinking, hey, don't tell me I can't sit and do my work in my comfy clothes. I am very productive in my comfy clothes. And I'll just say, I'm not trying to argue with you. I promise. I'm not saying you can't ever wear your comfy clothes. I just bought 2 new pairs of my stretchy pants that I enjoy. I am saying it makes a difference. So there's probably shades of gray in there, but it makes a difference. Okay. So should we, all that being considered, get dressed when we're working from home or when we're spending the day with our kids at home or when it's a weekend day at home? Why can't we just work in our PJs? Have you ever, tell me on social media or drop me a note, have you ever spent a whole work day in your pajamas when working from home? I'm sure we have. I'm sure we have. Here's the thing. To get out of our pajamas and put real clothes on, I'm doing air quotes if you're listening to me, it changes our mindset. And one way to think about it is it turns your brain on. It's kind of like a signal to your brain that now it's time to be productive and do work or do homeschooling or do whatever task we need to do that day. It is a signal to our brain that changes our mindset. And interestingly, if we kind of pull out a little bit more with mindset, if I had to define mindset, I would say mindset is about our habits of thinking. So mindset really, truly, when you get down to it, comes from all the thoughts running around in our heads all day. It's the habitual way that we think. And this can go way back in life. So you may have a preference actually for a particular type of outfit for when you're working, and you may lean more casual or you may lean more formal in your preferences, and that's all fine, obviously. That can go back to your experiences when you were younger, for sure. Maybe when you went to school, it was a more formal environment or it was uniforms. Or maybe when you went to school during that time period, it was a very kind of slouchy sweatpant environment. Maybe you went to a lot of parties where formal dress really made you feel empowered. All of those habits of thinking that come from our life experiences are going to be part of our mindset. And so if we tend to kind of feel like ourselves when we're dressed a little bit more formally, but yet we choose to kind of lay around in our pajamas all day, we're not going to have as productive a day, period. And we're not going to have as healthy a mindset, period. So that's just something to consider. Maybe it comes from your experiences of going to church or going to synagogue and how you would dress for that when you were younger. It's in there as our habits of thinking. Now, because of all the research that I was talking about with enclothed cognition, when we are dressed in a way that makes us feel good, which is what Amanda was talking about, we feel more self-confident. Why is that? We might feel more desirable. We might feel like we are more worthy of attention. We will probably interact differently with others. And that's really powerful because, again, we're communicating that energy between ourselves and other people. I also want you to think about how you spend your day dressed appropriately, or you know what, let's not use the word appropriately. How you spend your day, whether you're dressed in real clothes, again with the air quotes, or PJs or something in between, I want you to think of it as self-care. Because when we put ourselves in a situation where we can feel more self-confident and where we can feel a little bit more powerful when interacting with people, that's self-care. That's taking care of ourselves. And it sets the tone for us being productive. So, can you do your job in your pajamas on the sofa with a laptop on your lap? Of course you can. You probably have done it. Can you maybe be more productive and more focused if you're wearing jeans or whatever type of pants or skirt you like and a shirt that you could walk out the door in right now? Probably. Because your habit of thinking from all the life experiences you've had probably says that this is the way we dress when we work. And so now I'm working. I'm giving my body that direction that now I'm working. I'm signaling that to myself and I'm signaling that to others. And interestingly, if you are around other people, maybe you and your spouse or partner are both working from home, or you and your kids are spending the day together doing whatever it is you're doing. If you are getting dressed, it's a signal to the other people that are there with you that now it's time to do the things that we need to do: work, homeschool, chores, whatever it is. Now it's time to do that. We're signaling to ourselves and we're signaling to other people. We're also, if we get dressed, a lot more likely to leave the house. And I'm sure you agree with me on that one, because if we're in our PJs, we are not really going anywhere, maybe to the mailbox, maybe to the car. If the car is not in the garage, we're headed down, venturing down the driveway or whatever. But if we are dressed, we are more likely for sure to leave the house. And tribe, you really need to leave the house. And I'm coming to you this week in this episode and just saying, I am not perfect at this. I am not fully coiffed every day, and I'm trying to get better. And that's why I started looking into this topic to see, would it make as big of a difference as I thought it would? So if you are more likely to go out into the world, you are more likely to put your tennis shoes on, or even your flats, doesn't matter to me, or sandals, and take a walk around the block. Wear what you're wearing. You're probably not working from home or parenting from home wearing a suit or a dress, unless it's a comfy one. So wear what you're wearing, put some shoes on, and walk around the block. And if you got into a habit of doing that every day, maybe even a couple of times a day, health differences like crazy. So I'm going to give you kind of a tool to figure out how you might want to dress in any given situation, but I wanted to make sure to be able to hit the end of the day like that, because it's just as powerful as wanting to start the morning getting into some sort of productive outfit as it is wanting to end the day getting out of some sort of productive outfit into something else. Now, you don't have to change a million times a day. I don't really love to change a million times a day, but if we're staying in one outfit to sleep and to work, we're just missing all these signals about what we should be focused on and how the stress hormones in our body are going and what our brains are doing. So it's powerful, powerful stuff. Okay. So here's what I would suggest that we take with us from all of this discussion. You wake up in the morning, try asking yourself, how do I want to feel today? And then dress for that. So I'm saying embody the state of mind that you're seeking that day. So if I wake up in the morning and I say to myself, wow, today's going to be a big day at work or for my business, I need to get a lot done. Well, I want to feel confident. I want to feel productive. I want to feel powerful, empowered, focused. There's a way to dress for that, right? I'm probably going to put on real pants. Interpret that how you want. I'm going to put on a shirt that I feel good in. I'm probably going to do my makeup and fix my hair because I know that I will feel focused, empowered, confident, productive. Maybe it's a day where I have different sorts of tasks where I'm going to be reading or reviewing something, or I'm going to be just, doing tasks that are a little bit easier. It's okay to be a bit more relaxed that day. Maybe I don't have as big of a to-do list. Well, then maybe I dress to be a little bit more relaxed because that's how I want to feel that day. So ask yourself, how do I want to feel today? And then dress for that, from hair, skin, clothes, even shoes. Although I will tell you, I don't wear shoes in my house. So shoes is the one thing that I don't do. And I know there is a lively discussion of whether we should be putting on the shoes that we would wear to work and working from our home office. That is the piece I don't do because I don't like to wear shoes at home. I am happy with my socks or bare feet. I feel like it's good for my feet. But again, if that helps you feel the way you want to feel that day, then do it. Know that you are dressing to feel the way you want to feel that day, to help yourself achieve whatever it is that's on your agenda for that day. And here's where that episode 11 comes in. Make sure you go back and listen. Also know that you know how to dress to accentuate your favorite qualities and to really legitimately feel good about your shape and about how you look. Because even if you're not on camera, you're going to pass by a mirror here and there. You're probably going to encounter people in your family, or you're going to go walk around the block. I want you to feel good about how the world sees you, about how you're showing up in the world. And so I'm going to kind of mess with your mind a little bit here as we get closer to the end of today's episode. We can see ourselves in the mirror and we can be happy or not happy about that. And I would encourage you and me to be kind to ourselves. But if we're dressing in a way that we know really helps our shape and our size and our kind of style look the best, then that's going to help. But even more powerful than just having how we see ourselves in the mirror is what we think other people think about how we look. Did you follow that? The way we dress affects how we think other people think of us. And while that's a little bit convoluted, because quite frankly, we don't know, you don't know what other people are thinking. We don't, not ever. We can guess, but we're probably wrong. Maybe, maybe not. Some of us are more empathetic and can really feel and read people more, but we don't really know what other people are thinking. We think we know, and what we think we know is something that we allow to really, really affect us. So putting on my mindset coach hat, I'm kind of telling you that's not really real. what you think that other people think about you, because we don't know, and quite frankly, because they're probably not thinking about you, we tend to spend a lot of time thinking about ourselves, not about other people. But the reality is, there are powerful habits of thinking in our subconscious that are creating these interpretations. And those habits of thinking are connected to how we think we're going out in the world. If I go out in my neighborhood in my pajamas, then I am going to be pretty convinced that my neighbors are going to think I'm nuts and disheveled. Will they? I don't know, but I'm convinced that they will, because that's what I think. So the way we dress is partly connected to how we think other people think of us. And even though maybe to you it seems a bit silly, it is a powerful, powerful habit of mind or paradigm. And even when we're alone at home, those beliefs about how we appear to others and what they think of us are active. They're in there, they're in our thoughts, they're in our attitude, they're affecting our actions. So ask yourself in the morning, or maybe at night, if you put your outfit out the night before, ask yourself, how do I want to feel today? And then how can I dress to help me feel that way? Because it will affect you and it does matter. And I hope that this is so empowering for you, because even though I've kind of been warning you against the PJs all day, think about, what if every day you simply put on jeans and a nice top and you felt so empowered to grow your business or interact with the people in your day in a much different way? It's so easy to do that. And so I hope this episode has shown you all the pieces behind that no one ever taught us in school. And I hope you'll be able to figure out how you want to feel and how to dress for how you want to feel. Thanks for listening.